Hello and welcome to Bargain and Subscription Gaming. My name is Rich. We're going to play a little more Powerwash Simulator. We're back at Croft Manor for Laura Croft's house doing this power washing or front. It's pretty nice up front there. We got 25%, pretty basically that little front section last time. I think maybe I'll start on this weird looking fountain this time, perhaps. I don't think we'll get much more than maybe another 25, 30% in today because we're going to have to feed the puppies again. It's like that's when this is running into the time for that for me today. So I will just do what I can. I thought this might make a nice doable bit trying to get this fountain in. Though you look at it and you're like, dude, what are you talking about? This freaking fountain is huge. It is, but we do have the magic trident here. So perhaps that will allow for a little bit quicker, work on this. And then you got to make sure you get underneath the ledge. Yeah, see, these underneath the ledge things are just so much a pain in the butt. Alrighty, so last time I said we're going to try to do story time a bit while we're on this one. And, when I was a younger man, I very much wanted to be a writer. I thought, like, I could do that. And I had a blog for years. It was called Shockingly Provincial. You probably, if you really went looking for it, it's still up there. That stuff from the old internet, it's still there, people. You wrote stuff, it's still on there. Nobody deleted it unless the company's gone. And mine was on Blogger, which belongs to Google, and Google is still, live and kicking, doing their thing. So it's still there, still sitting, and it went from like, I think it was around 2004 to 2006, maybe. I don't quote me on that. I haven't really looked at it in years. I liked the stuff I wrote there. If I were to go back now, there's certainly things that I would have. I would not write the same way now because I'm a more mature individual. I wrote that, back in my late 20s, early 30s, and I had very definite opinions about things. But the thing about, getting older is you're allowed to grow, you're allowed to change, and have, I think, better opinions about the world and stuff. And also, a lot of it is like, I kind of did it in voice and comedy. I kind of created a character of myself, a parody, a more hyper goofy version of myself, that was the guy writing that. And I'm afraid nowadays people are always complaining about cancel culture. I would certainly catch a lot of shit for that. I wouldn't want to take it down because there's a lot to be learned from your younger self, but there's absolutely stuff that I wrote back then that I would not stand by anymore. I've definitely become a different person in my older age. And back then, when I wanted to be a writer, but I discovered writing that, like the character, creating characters when you're writing is difficult. I can write me and variations of me, which doesn't work very well when you're, like, say, trying to write stories about women or people of color, because they are not me. They're very much not like me. And, I don't capture their voice or their experience particularly well at all. But I was always in my mind plotting out different stories. I wanted to write a story called Tabloid Baby. And the way I describe it, the elevator pitch, so to speak, I hate the idea of trying to explain your great idea of a story in the elevator pitch. Like, I got to throw it to you in a second. But the pitch would be a Kevin Smith comic tragedy, because he did like a lot of comedies, but I think to make this, it would be him in it, but it wouldn't be him playing Silent Bob. It would be him playing Kevin Smith, because the idea then, and where I based a lot of my idea for this sort of story, was back in the day when I was a young drinking man. People would say, look at me wearing my big leather coat and my backwards baseball cap, because, that's the kind of dude bro I was trying to be back in my 20s. And they say, hey, Silent Barb, let me get you a beer. And I'm like, I like free beer. So I kind of leaned into that sort of Silent Bob thing. So I was thinking the character in this script that I wanted to write would very much be a guy who cosplays as Silent Bob, not as Kevin Smith, but as Bob, and he would be doing it while Kevin Smith is out promoting. And back then, like I thought he would be promoting Clerks 3 when I first had these ideas. Clerks 3 wasn't even a real idea then because he was trying to promote the idea of Mallrats 2 or Clerks 3 as a real thing, but he really couldn't get it off the ground for years and years, and he kind of left them both because like nobody was going to back it, even though he was, he had. There's some videos he did back in the day where he had like all these actors from Clerks and from Mallrats, like publicly saying they had agreed to be in those movies when he, you know, decided to do them. But anyway, the idea for my thing was that it would be while he was promoting this, he would be, in Chicago promoting it, on radio shows and stuff like they do when they're, out there trying to sell their movie. And my main character, well, not really the main character, it's the fooler of this sort of thing is that the guy that you start with, the guy you're paying attention to at the beginning of the show or the movie, I think work better nowadays as a like a 6-7 episode mini series on like Netflix or something or Hulu instead of a movie, because then you could like move on to a separate series, like take a couple characters at the end and move into a second series. But anyway, like my guy that you're starting with would be, this character who kind of like looks like Kevin Smith. And back then it was like fat Kevin Smith because I kind of look like, I do not expect that I would be acting. It was just, that's, where I started from. Because we all kind of start when we're coming up with ideas, thinking about our own experiences in our own life. And I thought some dude that kind of looks like Kevin Smith would have a whole closet in this bedroom. He'd start out, the first opening sequence would be like him waking up in a room, and there'd be kind of like a clock thing going off like in Back to the Future where Marty's waking up under the blanket and alarms are going off. And then you'd look around the room and there would be this closet door that would be Han Solo carbonite, and he would push the little buttons on the side of it. And, if you've ever seen it, it looks like, those old school carbonite in the movie, and you push the buttons on the side of it. And in the radio, you'd hear like Kevin Smith talking on the radio to some local DJ guy, and maybe hear like the mother yelling, your man is on the radio or something like that from downstairs. And he'd get up and he'd push a button on this closet thing, and gas, not gas, but like carbon dioxide sort of, smoke would, dry ice, that's what I'm looking for. Something like that would come billowing out of it like they did in the movie. And then the door would open, and inside you'd see all these cosplays. And in the center would be, a Silent Bob cosplay. But I'd also like to be like a Stormtrooper one, and like maybe, I was thinking, even back then, Venture Brothers was kind of doing like 21 or 24 would be a good one to have in there too. Just that big dude, beardy dude that kind of looks like Kevin Smith. And I had a whole section of the movie where I thought it would be good for him to go to a con dressed up as a stormtrooper to begin with, and later on getting into like costumes. To him and his buddy would be doing 21 and 24. But anyway, that's the starter character. But it would fool you because he'd go out on the town and take advantage of the fact that Kevin Smith is in town promoting the movie to get drunk or to hang out in a bar. And then there would be a female character who is really into Silent Bob. Like, that's kind of her thing. And she would kind of hook up with him at that. And even though, like, she knows better. She's got professional degrees and she just works in the bar because, the way our economy keeps going, she's just not willing to get rid of that secondary job because other jobs keep disappearing over the years. So she's constantly just, holding on to that one Friday night at this job where she's bartending and stuff. And he hooks up, and then she's like, "What the hell did we do?" And it's supposed to be like, you know, they have unprotected sex, and they're laying there and say, "Okay, what do we do about this?" Well, this guy in my story would be like, "Well, you know, we could do what we have to. I've got good money, I got a good job, whatever, or I have money, I'm independently wealthy, whatever, however you want to do it." But and it's, or it's like, do you want a real plan or do you want a crazy plan? And you have the female character. Well, how about a crazy plan? Well, we take pictures from the night, and you go out there and you try to pitch the story to the tabloids that you're having Silent Bob's baby. And, and the thing is, it probably won't go anywhere. You might be able to make a little money, but it would be silly and fun. And he never thinks anything of it. And he doesn't expect that to go anywhere, except then he sees on the news that, I'm having Silent Bob's baby. All right, where was I? Pause for a second there. Let me Okay, so the next part of this is like he sees on the news the woman's like, "I'm having Silent Bob's baby." Now, here's the next part of it. You remember back in the day, some of you might remember, there was, I think, this woman down in Florida who was in a coma, basically brain dead, and her husband wanted to take her off life support. And that story and the kind of controversy around it took over all of the news cycle in America for a very long period of time. It seemed like we were like in this very low to no news cycle where this just took over everything. It was every story everywhere for a long time until the Pope died, and then boom, it went away because there was something bigger. I figured that would kind of be this I'm having Silent Bob's baby thing. It would be like, we'd be just in the midst of a slow to no celebrity news period, and she would just catch it just at the right time, and it would just take off to a ridiculous degree. That would, be my thoughts on that. And then I had some other thoughts. I'd like to, if I were casting and directing or doing whatever, add another element to it where I always thought that you'd add Craig Ferguson in at this point. Now, my thinking about the Craig Ferguson bit was goes along the lines of, you remember back in the day, NBC, when they were ending Friends, and they thought to themselves, what's the funniest part of Friends? And they said, well, it's Joey. Joey's the funny part of Friends. And they said, we can take this funniest part of Friends and make another show, and that show would be Joey, and it would be so great. And I don't know if any of you remember that. It was not. It was just like television by committee. Just, we know what funny is. We know it's going to be great. Well, my thought was like they would have looked at Craig Ferguson back when he was doing his late night show. And they said, what the funniest part of Craig's late night bits is when he does these characters. When he does, the Aquaman bits, or he does the Sean Connery bits, or, I forget what's his name. The guy in space, when you dress up as him, and they think, what if we did this where we just had a daytime talk show, a sort of sketch thing where he'd have guests on, but the guests would be on for the whole freaking week. And all they would kind of chat nonchalant. And in between chats, like they'd come back from a commercial break and they would do bits, little sketch comedy bits. And then they'd come back, they'd go to commercial, come back, and there'd be more of him just, the kind of stupid chatting he did in his late night show. Except this would be like a daytime show to go against the Ellens and all that long, and it would be the same person all the week long. So it wasn't like I'm promoting a show. It's him saying, I want to have these people on, and we're going to have some fun and do some stupid comedy. And the thing would be like, it would work. It would be ridiculously good. And he would be kind of miserable because it's like, it's not really what he wanted to be doing. It's like, I'm just kind of doing stupid characters. I'm not doing, creating anything great or having any, making really good comedy or television. And it's like, I got sober for this would be kind of like the mantra of that. I don't think he'd really be miserable doing it. I think he'd actually have a lot of fun doing that. But I think the idea for the show would just be him to be just plain miserable doing it. And then, for the entire tabloid baby, to him decide at some point that, to have Kevin Smith on for it. And then like one of the skits they would do would be like an entire sort of Maury sort of thing. And this would be like right after the main female character of it. And once she does the I'm pregnant thing, I would want the whole story, the whole camera work to shift to her perspective, like to be like her story. Then like instead of waking up with the guy who's all panicky that this is all, and it's like it's not his story anymore. It's not his story to tell. It's hers and what she's doing. And then you got like pass Bechdel tests and stuff with her. She can't have conversations with like, just talking about like that would be the challenge. Like her pregnancy not being like the big major thing, like just her trying to not, just to get by and not have to define her life that way. And I kind of like thought it would be a lot of fun to do. And you could end it with her like actually like giving up the baby to adoption, like to Smith and family or stuff. I thought there'd be a great scene somewhere in the middle of it where like Jay Muse comes in the house with his, back then, I think he's had a couple kids now, but I just picture him coming in with a kid, and like Harlequin Smith, Kevin Smith's daughter. I thought it would have been cuter when she was little. Now it might still work, but it would have been really cute when she was smaller, going, bitching to her dad, like, because the dad would, Kevin would grab that baby right away, give me my goddaughter or give me, my favorite niece or nephew or something. And then like Harley immediately bitching, Mom, Dad's bogarting the baby or something like that. And then you hear, Jennifer in the other room, like, yelling, give that girl the baby before she decides to get one of her own. And then like after a bit, Muse and Harley looking at the TV and like Harley going, hey, look, Uncle Jay, Dad's baby mama's on the TV. And it's like, Kevin Smith like, shush, that's not funny. It's not funny. And like, Jennifer walking in like, we were with you. We know it's not yours. And yeah, it's not funny, but not because it's like, we're putting the screws to you. Because this woman, it's to them, it seems she obviously believes that she's having, Silent Bob's baby. There's something wrong. She doesn't really believe it. It's just that she's, really particularly good actress and she's playing this up for the news. And, she's trying to make that buck, even though like that was the silly solution. It was the crazy solution, not the what should we do about this, stupid thing we did. It's I'm going to stick to the bit. I'm going to keep with it. I'm going to be crazy and I'm going to see how far I can take it. And I thought like the end of the movie, at some point she'd have like a publicist, I thought, trying to make it go even further. And like the publicist hanging out with her and like her meeting up with the baby daddy after the adoption saying, we could have made it go with this. Like, we didn't even know each other, and even if you had money, it's like, this was, this is going to be great for this kid. And, I didn't want to define my life this way. It's just, I'm this baby's, daddy, or, suddenly my career's over and whatnot. I don't know. I can't write dialogue too well. It would have to definitely have a woman write, I think, her whole part. I think would be the smart bit, is the only way to really do that. But like, I would then have the camera though pan away from them to like this publicist going with, going into some bar there that they would be talking. They're going off somewhere else. Her walking into a bar and like seeing a sign on the wall about like, VIP ska room. Because I think the second season of that would be like called Ska Band. Because I always want to like think like it would be great to see this woman deciding she's going to promote all these people who have this niche kind of music focus, trying to boy band up, or girl band, from the ground floor build up a ska band just because she walks into this place. And then you could have like a whole season of that. Maybe come back to like, the mother and father, and so like maybe they do start dating after they've given up the baby or something, and come back to them like a season or two later with a whole different story, or maybe years later come back to them like when the kid is growing up, and do another story of like this kid wanting to know about her actual mother and father, and not just like, Kevin Smith and his wife and family and all that. Anyway, and that's why it was a comic tragedy, because it's like, at the whole time they could have just been like, dude's got money, dude's got family. They could have tried, but instead it's like, no, we're just gonna have this whole crazy, we're gonna go with the crazy idea and try to promote I'm having Silent Bob's baby as the story. And like it doesn't work really out well for anyone, even the child. Even if the child's going to go live in a good life with, Kevin Smith and Jen and all that, and live, in basically a much better financially stable life, it's still like, this is crazy. This is stupid. Why are people making these decisions? And that's why I think it would be a great comic tragedy instead of just a comedy like he likes to do, like, instead of the absurdist just comedy, the absurdist comedy tragedy. And that for me would, I think, be the great tabloid baby story. And the thing is, I'd never be able to write the female character. You already see like me just kind of stumbling over it, and like I'm sure any woman coming into that story would say there's so many problems with that, and you'd have to like have named characters, and her pregnancy not be the main focus of her story, or her relationship with this guy who fathered the baby, or lack of relationship. I did think it would be kind of fun for like the cosplay guy there, have a scene for him at a convention with his buddy, and they're both doing a stormtrooper thing with like the 501st or something, and then have a trans character dressed up as Dr. Mrs. the Monarch come up to him, is like, oh yeah, I've seen like your YouTube videos, your costume stuff, and are you guys going to do this 21 and 24 bit with me later? And then like, and her walking around as the convention earlier, it's not dressed as Dr. Mrs. Monarch, but as Dr. Girlfriend in the Jackie O thing, and have like the one character say to the other, like the buddy go like, it's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen, and like have the guy that do the that's a man sort of like kind of stupid shit, and like the other guy says, if you say, and like if you think you're the only one smart enough, you're gonna say, and then like have the guy stop and think real quick. Well, what I was gonna say is, that's not really a Dr. Mrs. the Monarch costume. That's actually a real, more of a Jackie O costume, and like try to make up some bullshit of how they're actually different. Like the guy, like, were you really gonna say that? Like, no, man, I was totally gonna be like, that's a trans person. It's like, fuck you. You're, I hate you. I don't know why I spend time with you. But I thought that they would be like a good addition to the story. But I thought, man, you're adding way too many different moving parts. Is it necessary? And so on the one hand, I think yes, to add that sort of normalcy and visibility to the story would be great. Not to make it like this secondary weird thing. And I also have like a bit later on when they try to do like the costume contents later, because they would be like a 3-part, her dressed up as Dr. Mrs. the Monarch, and then both of them dressed up as 21 and 24, instead of just like the stormtroopers that they were doing earlier in it. But I don't know how much of the the thing. And like, I also would have had like the main female character like going to that convention to kind of promote her. I'm having, Silent Bob's baby thing, and her going there with the publicist and like, you know, walking by them, like not really acknowledging them, but like he knows who she is and she knows who he is, but like, they don't, because they're sticking to the bit. They're gonna do this stupid "I'm having Silent Bob's baby" thing and not actually have contact with each other in case like media presence puts two and two together. And back in the day, I thought I'd have this guy like lose a ton of weight so he doesn't actually look like Silent Bob, but you'd have to do something different now because Kevin Smith lost a ton of weight, so you can't just have him like go exercise and stuff. You have to have the guy shave his head or something, or dye his hair or something weird like that. Shave off his beard, try to go for a completely different look so he no longer resembled Silent Bob. And anyway, I think I've completely covered that about as much as I wanted to. And I wanted to do a short bit so that I could clip that for TikTok, but it seems like, I've gone on and rambled at length there. I have said quite a bit about that there, so I don't know that I'll be able to clip a small enough bit of that out to make a nice little TikTok like I did when I was doing what was that game? Hard Space Shipbreaker. Anyway, I think we will finish this fountain and call that an episode. We're doing a little over 50%, but we're getting a lot of this whaley thing done here, this little statue thing. I'm probably going to have to get like the either, I don't know if there are any actual ladders or if the ladders will get me high enough to get to the top of this thing at all. I wonder if I can jump on it, jump on here, jump on here, jump on here. Yes, okay, we can jump on that. Maybe they'll give you a pretty big gimme, and I won't actually have to get the top of it. I doubt it, though. I'm betting that like I'm gonna have to spray some large portion at the top there. Alrighty. Oh, that's the grows. And I want to do the TikTok things, not so much because like I want to be a popular TikToker, just as like I looking for other ways to promote this channel. I want to get, if I can get more people to watch my videos by doing little clips there, I'm willing to do that. And I don't know if it will translate to it. So far it hasn't. I've been able to get clips of like from other games in there, and like they've done pretty well, not great. Certainly not to the point where like TikTok's like, hey, you want to make some money? But they're doing better. Better than certainly I can get anything on Facebook anymore. They don't play anything. If you say anything even slightly political, they just slam everything you say in that one now. And I do make things where I don't even think it's being political, but that's just it. You don't think, and then you realize, oh wait, yeah, that's somebody more conservative is going to absolutely object to the things I just said there. Okay, let's pick this up. Can I put it on top of here? No. Gotta turn it all the way around. I need to get a little... There we go. Central fountain is done. Pedestal. There we go. We're 54%. That's not bad. The front was 25. This was basically a little more than 25. Next time, I don't know if we'll work. I think we'll do more of the bottom before we work on the top. Or maybe we'll just work on that whole section and then work our way over and end over on this side. At least that's my plan for now. And you guys want to see more Powerwash Simulator? I'm going to probably do all the lower Croft stuff just because, I can and I'm having fun with it. And it gives me this chance to just talk more to the audience, which I like to do. Please like, share, and subscribe. And, I will see you all next time.